birthday to me.
We out here. We out here. What we doing? What we doing?
Celebrate.
Can I get a Go Gators from everybody? No Go Gators? Okay. Y'all all kicked out my street. You nasty. Oh, she nasty. That's my wife, though. I married her.
She tried to leave and her husband shot her in front of her parents. Shawntai Adkins was a 34-year-old registered nurse from Daytona Beach, Florida, remembered as a devoted mother of 3 and a gentle, loving presence in her community. According to public memorials and social pages, she worked professionally in oncology, showing compassion for her patients as well as her family. Her family described her as bubbly, very loving and kind, when she tragically lost her life on October 19, 2023. As both a caring nurse and attentive mother, Shawntai was the emotional center of her household and extended family. Shantell, aged 37 at the time of the tragedy, had recently completed an alcohol rehabilitation program. According to court records and local reporting, he faced alcohol-related legal troubles around the same time, leading to repeated strains in their marriage. A few days after completing rehab, he allegedly borrowed Shawntai's motorcycle while intoxicated, further escalating domestic tensions. Despite attempts to reconcile, underlying issues of trust, sobriety, and responsibility appeared to be simmering beneath the surface. Just days after completing an alcohol rehabilitation program, Shawntai Adkins, 37, allegedly rode away on his wife's motorcycle while intoxicated, a reckless act that shattered the fragile calm they were trying to restore. The emotional fallout was swift. Shawntai, shocked and feeling powerless, called her parents for backup. She admitted later she was done and ready to leave the marriage. Shantell had just left rehab yet returned to old habits, creating fear and mistrust in the household. This incident set off alarm bells for both Shawntai's safety and the marriage's future, showing that Shantell's sobriety was fragile and their life together unstable. Tensions escalated further when Shawntai discovered messages indicating Shantell's cheating, not on a phone or email, but on his Apple Watch. She confronted him, tearfully confronting betrayal and hurt. Overwhelmed, she reached out to her mother. "I'm done. I want a divorce," she said. At this point, the conflict shifted from substance misuse to emotional betrayal, adding a potent mix of anger, disappointment, and betrayal that fractured any hope of reconciliation. On Thursday evening, the Adkins family was rocked by an emotionally charged altercation at their home on Fulton Street in Daytona Beach. Shawntai Adkins, 34, reached her breaking point during an intense argument with her husband Shantell, questioning him about alcohol relapse and suspected infidelity. Fearing the situation was spinning out of control, she called her parents for help, an invitation for potential peace, though none could have foreseen the tragedy to come. Within moments, Shawntai's mother and father arrived to help calm the situation. Their presence seemed to de-escalate the moment temporarily. The parents offered to leave with Shawntai, backing her toward the doorway to diffuse the tension. It was a desperate moment of hope, an attempt to protect their daughter and restore peace. Just as Shawntai was stepping outside with her parents, Shantell retrieved a rifle. In a sudden and brutal action, he shot Shawntai in the back of the neck, killing her instantly. The act was shocking, quick, and final, a horrific burst of violence witnessed not only by her parents, but by the neighborhood. In the terrifying seconds that followed, Shantell turned the rifle on Shawntai's parents, firing shots in their direction. Her father suffered a serious injury, breaking his leg as he fled the scene in panic and fear. Shantell then shot himself, reportedly in the shoulder. Some sources suggested chest, wounding but not killing himself, ensuring he could be arrested and brought to justice. First responders arrived swiftly at the Fulton Street scene and found Shawntai unresponsive, with a gunshot wound to the neck. Despite immediate efforts, she was declared dead at the scene, a devastating and irreversible outcome. After fatally shooting Shawntai, Shantell turned the rifle on himself, suffering a self-inflicted gunshot. Reports vary between shoulder or chest. Though his injuries were not fatal, he was transported on life support to Halifax Health Medical Center, where he remained under guard and in stable condition. Shawntai's father, injured while scrambling away from the gunfire, broke his leg. Emergency medical services treated and transported him to a local hospital, where he received care and began recovery. Daytona Beach police officers arrived shortly after the shooting. They cordoned off the home, ensuring the area was secure, and no further danger to bystanders existed. Officers located and confiscated the rifle used in the shooting, key evidence for the ongoing homicide investigation. Despite his injuries, Shantell was placed under arrest at Halifax Health once medically stable, charged with first-degree murder and 2 counts of aggravated assault. Following his arrest, Shawntai Adkins faced serious felony charges. First-degree murder with a firearm for the killing of Shawntai, 2 counts of aggravated assault, 1 for each parent he injured while firing the weapon. The state's charges reflected both the intentional killing and the threat and harm inflicted on Shawntai's parents, making his case both a homicide and multiple assault offenses. The trial began in early June 2025 in Volusia County Court, where the prosecution laid out a clear, compelling timeline: argument, retrieval of rifle, shooting Shawntai, firing at her parents, self-inflicted wound, and surrender. Witness testimonies included evidence from the parents and forensic experts detailing ballistic findings, trajectory paths, and the sequence of events. The defense had limited room to argue, with the prosecution pointing to Shantell's recent alcohol relapse, relationship betrayal, and presence of the weapon, factors underscoring premeditation and intent. After 2 days of evidence and arguments, the jury delivered a swift verdict. Just 17 minutes of deliberation, convicting Shantell on all 3 counts, first-degree murder and 2 counts of aggravated assault. This eyebrow-raisingly quick decision underscored how compelling and unambiguous the evidence appeared to be. After being found guilty of first-degree murder and 2 counts of aggravated assault, Shawntai Adkins faces a mandatory life sentence under Florida law. He is scheduled to be formally sentenced on June 23, 2025. State Attorney R.J. Larissa strongly denounced the killing, highlighting the cruelty of the act. "It is every parent's worst nightmare to lose a child," he said, adding, "Adkins executed our victim in front of her parents and then threatened to do the same to them. Another domestic murder and another devastated family. The wrongful death of a beloved nurse and mother has deeply affected the local community. Many residents expressed heartbreak and rallied in grief, sharing tributes and calling for greater awareness around domestic violence." Local advocacy groups and social media communities have amplified the tragedy to shed light on the hidden dangers of abusive relationships and the urgent need for support services. Community members, survivors, and local organizations have responded with calls for improved intervention strategies and stronger resources to protect vulnerable individuals. This tragedy starkly highlights how alcohol abuse, emotional betrayal, and uncontrolled anger can coalesce into lethal outcomes. Shantell's post-rehab relapse and aggressive behavior over property misuse created a volatile environment. When compounded with Shawntai's discovery of his suspected infidelity via her Apple Watch, the situation became a tragically combustible mix, one that erupted into fatal violence witnessed by her own parents. Multiple early warning signs, yet no effective intervention. Motorcycle incident while intoxicated. Soon after rehab, showing relapse and recklessness. Infidelity accusations, discovered digitally, fueling distrust. Calls for help from Shawntai before the final incident. Despite these signs, deeper issues were not addressed, and in the presence of family members, the conflict accelerated to its tragic end. This underscores how unaddressed tensions and addiction can spiral into irreversible tragedy, with loved ones left traumatized. The court case was decisive, After a precise and rapid trial, the jury deliberated for just 17 minutes, convicting Shantell on all counts, underscoring overwhelming evidence and societal demand for accountability. Shawntai's family now faces a lifetime without her, even as the former husband begins his life sentence. The case has galvanized Daytona Beach and broader communities, prompting grief, solidarity, and public discourse on domestic violence. It has become a catalyst for renewed advocacy, with local organizations and survivors urging stronger support systems, early interventions, and accessible resources. After being convicted on first-degree murder and 2 counts of aggravated assault, Shawntai Adkins faced the court once more on June 23, 2025, for his formal sentencing. Under Florida law, a first-degree murder conviction mandates a life sentence without parole. At the hearing, the presiding judge, Kathleen McNeely, confirmed that Adkins would serve life in prison with no possibility of early release. For Shawntai's family, the sentencing closed a legal chapter. They secured justice and formal accountability. Yet the courtroom's silence cannot fill the void left by her loss. The deadly outcome prompted a wave of reflection and action within Daytona Beach and beyond. Local media, organizations, and online communities spotlighted the case to advocate for better interventions, resources, and early warning systems. Many pointed to the motorcycle incident, infidelity, and prior alcohol relapse as critical red flags, reminding people to take relationship crises seriously. Support agencies and advocacy groups urged those witnessing similar warning signs to intervene through hotlines, shelters, counseling, or legal injunctions. If this story moved you, don't just scroll, speak up. Like, share, and subscribe to help raise awareness about the warning signs of domestic violence. Someone's life might depend on it.